Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Vincent Cervoni, who is the mayor of the town of Wallingford, Connecticut. Mr. Mayor.
Pete.
Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming down. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
It's been a while.
A little bit.
Absolutely. So you are newly elected mayor of Wallingford.
That's correct.
You got sworn in when?
January 8th, 9th, whatever
that Monday was.
the first Monday after the first was.
I think it was the 8th.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your background.
I've been a practicing attorney for almost 30 years, and for the past 14 years I've been on the town council in Wallingford. The last 10 years as chairman. And here I am now, the first new mayor in Wallingford in 40 years. Mayor Dickinson served for 40 years before deciding not to run again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now, you being mayor, so you can't be mayor and chairman of the town council at the same time.
That's right. So
okay.
I did not run for council.
Okay.
I ran for mayor.
There you go.
Yep.
Did they find somebody to fulfill your position as chairman of the town council?
Yes, they elected a new chairman.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No.
That happens at the beginning of every term in Wallingford.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, tell us, why did you decide to run for mayor?
Well, I've been involved, I've been living in Wallingford for almost 30 years, or just over 30 years, I take that back. And I had done 5 years as the assistant town attorney for the town of East Haven. That was about 02 to 07.
Okay.
After that, I got involved in Wallingford town government, and you know, as much as I didn't grow up there, I've been there my entire adult life, and I've enjoyed my involvement in town government in Wallingford. And when I found out that my friend Bill Dickinson was not running again, I thought it was a good opportunity for me to give it a try.
Okay. And me not knowing Bill Dickinson, but previous acquaintances of the Pete Mezzetti Show who do know Bill Dickinson, what was he like?
He's a true gentleman, a statesman. He's been a great fiscal steward for Wallingford, very principled and methodical.
Okay.
I think in many ways I consider him a great mentor.
Okay. Now, what was your campaign about?
It was about experience. You know, my opponent really didn't have any elected government experience.
Oh, really?
And also taking the opportunity to improve technology in town, and look for the opportunity for infrastructure improvements in town.
As far as technology in town, what do you can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the prior administration was not a fan of technology, of interconnectivity, and so the information technology systems in town are a hodgepodge of not very well connected to each other things. You know, there are computers that are connected to an intranet, computers connected to the internet, which they tend to be exclusive from each other, and then there are computers that are merely connected to the wall for power.
Really?
Yeah, so we're going to bring the town's digital infrastructure up to current standards so that we can take advantage of the efficiencies that you get by utilizing technology.
And that's probably going to take a couple of months to get everything done?
Well, we've just signed a contract with a company that is going to go through the town and audit our information systems and see where we need to make improvements and fill gaps and come up with a plan. That's going to take several weeks, you know, maybe a month and a half.
Okay.
After that, we'll have a plan, and then I suspect it's going to take several months to implement the plan, you know, to get the town government all connected.
Exactly. And now, as far as Wallingford as a town, it's a pretty community involved town and business involved?
That's correct. You know, we have just over 45,000 residents, We have a thriving business community. The population of the town increases significantly during the day for all the people that come in for work. We have a fair amount of manufacturing, vibrant businesses that export products all over the world. This year is the 100th anniversary of Yulbrick Steel and Specialty Metals, and they make products that that touch everybody's lives. There's a steel membrane in your car key fob that is in some major manufacturers' key fobs. They make fine filaments that go into surgical devices, and they actually provide the raw materials, not raw materials, but provide materials for guitar string manufacturers.
Really?
Yeah, quite a variety of important products.
Wow.
Yep.
And that's all done here. That's all done in Wallingford.
It's done in Wallingford, and they have a couple of other plants outside of Wallingford, but they are a big manufacturer in Wallingford. And they're just an example of the variety of companies. Fastenal is a company in Wallingford, and for a long time they were making the fasteners that went on Harley-Davidson motorcycles.
Wow.
There's a lot of products that are parts of products that go all over the world that come from Wallingford.
Wow, I did not know that. Very, very interesting. Now, as far as the schools in Wallingford, and
we have good schools in Wallingford. We have a public school system with just over 6,000 students in it.
okay,
We could use to improve a little bit, but we have a great variety of programming and educational opportunities. Our high schools are good about offering students vocational opportunities. One of our two high schools, Lyman Hall High School, has a state vocational agricultural program. So you can learn all parts of dealing with agriculture, including raising animals.
wow.
Yep,
So you guys have two high schools in Wallingford?
we do.
Okay.
Big topic of discussion in town is the Board of Ed is recommending consolidation down to one high school.
Okay, why?
The board feels that the population of the high schools is low enough that the buildings are exceeding operational efficiency, and they feel that if they can consolidate the high school student body into one building, that they'll be able to offer a greater variety of educational programming for high school students. So they're recommending consolidation, but it's gonna be a process that takes years.
I was going to say, what does the process entail? It probably entails a lot.
Yeah, there's a great amount of opposition in town. People like having their two little high schools, and they feel that parents feel that their children have a greater opportunity to excel in a smaller student environment.
Okay.
So they have to get past the opposition, before we get to a major design phase. They did have a proposed design that was on the east side campus, the Lyman Hall campus, and there's a fair amount of opposition to that. So they've got to overcome some growing pains in the community to get there, if they are going to get there.
Now, how big is each high school student population-wise?
I'm going to guesstimate that each high school is in the 700 student range.
All right.
4 classes each high school.
Yeah. Now, as far as if they do all consolidate, they'd probably have to take down the old building, or would they utilize the other building for something?
Well, part of the Lyman Hall campus is a state-funded vocational agricultural program.
Oh, okay.
So it could be that campus takes on a life of its own as a state VOAG program. And we could repurpose the buildings if we find a location that's not one of those two locations to build, a central high school. But one of the concerns is that, it could take you 25 to 30 minutes to go from one side of the town to the other if the high school is not centrally located.
Right. And does it normally take 25 to 30 minutes to go from one side of town to the other? Probably not.
Well, during high traffic times, students are getting to school during rush hour, and
Right.
there's a lot of traffic on the road, and we cross the Quinnipiac River and a railroad track, and that'll add to your time crossing town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you guys are probably getting ready to present budgets for the year.
So I will be working on my first budget as mayor over the next 2 months. I
Okay.
have to present it, publish it for the town and for the town council on April 1st.
Okay.
So yes, we're digging into that. Going to look at the grand list. I hear we have a little bit of growth in the grand list. And we're going to look at the department needs. Departments want to advance. We do have a technology program that we're going to be working on. So there's probably going to be some new expenses in the budget, and we have to figure out how to pay for it.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back. And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Vincent Cervoni, who's the mayor of the town of Wallingford, Connecticut. Mr. Mayor, welcome back.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, sir. And we started talking in the first segment about, right before the break, the budget process. And what are some of the big budgets for the town of Wallingford?
Well, in any town, you have a big public works budget.
Right.
It's all about roads, structures, buildings, and that sort of thing. And then, the two that stick out in my mind are police and fire.
Right.
So big goings on in both are this fall. Our police department will be moving to a new police station.
Really?
Yes, they've been on North Main Street, I'm going to say about 35 years, and the town purchased a building on Barnes Road, 100 Barnes Road. It's under construction to be repurposed for a new public safety command center. We're excited about it. Everything about it's going to be state-of-the-art. It's going to include an indoor firearms training facility, and all public safety dispatch is going to be housed there, so any 911 call is going to be fielded from that new location. That's exciting. That's going to have an impact on our budget. In every department, the majority of the employees are subject to collective bargaining. So in every budget year, you have the raises that are factored into the collective bargaining agreements. That's going to affect the budget going forward. And, your biggest expense in municipal government is employment.
Right. Because
because we need people to
Exactly.
do things.
Right.
We need public works operators to, to repair roads and to
Right.
plow streets in the winter.
Exactly.
And we need police officers. I think we have about 72 of them. We have a similar number of firefighters, maybe a few less.
Okay.
The things that go into municipal budgets include, vehicles and fuel for the vehicles, and, fuel to heat buildings, electricity, all those things that tend to go up every year. Although we do pretty well in Wallingford, we have our own electric division, and we keep our rates affordable for Wallingford residents. We try not to brag about that, but it's pretty brag-worthy.
Well, let's talk about that. I had an idea that you guys had your own source of electricity in Wallingford. Let's talk about that because people don't know.
So our electric division this year is celebrating its 125th anniversary.
Okay.
It started off as a production company. They had electric generators, they ran wires through town. I learned today that it was December 23rd, 125 years ago, so 1899,
Okay.
that the first customer got service downtown at a store that's just the other side of Center Street from Town Hall.
Okay.
Started off as a production facility, wove itself into the grid over its history, and stopped really producing our own electricity, I'm going to say the late 80s, early 90s. And we distribute the electricity throughout town, but we buy it throughout multiple sources and just buy and distribute. We have two facilities in town. One is operational, and it's a backup system for when the grid is overtaxed or when there's an outage in the grid. There is a production facility that we do not own or operate, but will come on live and will power up the town and some of the surrounding towns or parts of other towns that we are connected to. Wallingford Electric Division also provides power to the Northford section of North Brantford.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
And I'm sure that saves everybody a couple bucks because everything's...
It's a non-investor owned utility,
Really?
so
Cool.
it does not have
Okay.
a profit motive.
Okay.
Its motive is to keep its finances healthy so that it can well cover all of its expenses, including the purchase of power, from the free market.
Right.
And it's very well funded. And our ratepayers, save anywhere from 40 to something in the low 50s, 40 to 50% of what our neighboring towns pay for power.
Very cool.
It's a great draw for businesses to the community. If a business manufactures something, uses a machine to make something that uses a lot of electricity, that cheap cost of power plus the intersection of a couple of highways makes Wallingford an ideal location in Connecticut.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the town hall and how many people they have on staff in the building.
Oh,
No.
I should know that number, and off the top of my head, I'm going to say it's something shy of 100 in that building.
Okay.
But we have other facilities in town. We have the Public Works office. We have the various. There's one police station, but there's various fire stations throughout town. There's the Park and Rec facility.
Okay.
So, yep, we have quite a few employees. We're one of the biggest employers in town.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. So what do you think as far as the budget goes for the town? You guys are looking pretty well with what's going on with the budget, because obviously, knock on wood, there hasn't been a lot of snow.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had major snow events. We've had ice events.
Yeah.
Southern New England is good for, the moisture meeting the cold and making your roads shiny, slick, and unsafe. And,
Yeah.
we do have to send our trucks out with the road salt. But you're right, this has been a mild winter. We did get our audit at the end of the calendar year for the prior fiscal year.
Okay.
And we did run a little over a $2 million surplus.
Oh, wow.
So, that's a nice factor to be considered looking at the budget. The budget for the current fiscal year, I think, is $187 million.
Okay.
Having a slightly more than 1% variance in the budget means that it was pretty well planned and executed. So I'm feeling like I have a good base going into this budget.
Now, as far as if you don't use the budget for like salt and sand, does it go into another, like a rainy day fund or a general fund?
General fund.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really call ours a rainy day fund. We have
Okay.
We have about $30 million in the bank, and all but $18.9 million of that is appropriated, but we like keeping the $18.9 million unappropriated because the bond rating agencies look at what you have for an unallocated reserve, and if you have something resembling 10% of your budget as an unallocated reserve, that's a strong factor to them, and it contributes to a town like Wallingford having a AA bond rating.
Now, maybe can you explain what the bond rating agency is and exactly what they do?
Yeah, one of them is Standard & Poor's. The other one that I'm aware of is Moody's.
Yep.
And what they do, a bond rating is like your personal credit rating.
Oh, okay.
They look at your financial condition.
Right.
And they give you a rating, and that's used when you go out to bond. When you in municipalities, when you're taking on a hard project, you're building a building,
Right.
doing something infrastructure related that you're going to get a 20 plus year life out of, you're going to bond for that.
Right.
And it's like having a good credit score. Having a high bond rating gets you more favorable terms, lower interest rates when you borrow money.
Right. Now, let's talk about the town council and exactly how closely you work with them. Pretty close, I think.
Yes. In Wallingford, the town council is the legislative and budgeting body. It's both in one.
Okay.
The administration has to get approval from the council for variances in the budget. It relies on the council for legislating, for keeping up our code of ordinances. But if, there are things in our charter that the administration cannot do without council approval. They have to approve for full-time employees. They have to approve job descriptions. If, say, we're buying something and we've, for any number of reasons, the bid process may not produce the best results for us, we have to go to the council to get approval for a bid waiver. So, yeah, have to work with them pretty closely. They meet twice a month, and
Okay.
The administration is part of those meetings to, make sure that we get what we need and we can justify to the council what we're asking them for.
So you still have to go to the council meetings as mayor.
That's correct. Becoming mayor did not give me a pass on going to the town council meetings.
Which I'm sure are during budget season, are pretty lengthy.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Those are the longest meetings typically. I mean, we've had some long meetings over other issues, but
Right.
yeah, budget season, starts with the presentation of the budget on April 1st.
Right.
They have to have a public hearing within a certain number of days after the budget is published.
Yep.
Then they go through a series of workshops where they talk to town departments about, what their budget request entails.
Yep.
And before the budget gets adopted by the second Tuesday in May, And by that meeting, they will have, looked to make adjustments or amendments to the budget, to suit what they believe the priorities in the budget should be.
Now, why does Wallingford have a mayor and not a first selectman?
It's how our town charter was written.
Okay.
The current version of our charter was adopted sometime about 1960, and prior to the current town charter, the town leader was called a warden. But with the adoption of Wallingford's current form of government, this 1960 town charter, it's a mayor and 9 town councilors.
It was called a warden. Okay.
That's what he was called.
Okay.
Before we took on the mayor.
Before you took on the
system.
mayor and the council.
Yes.
And how many people are on the council?
9 people.
Okay.
Yes.
And if people want more information on the town of Wallingford, they can just go to the website and everything is there?
wallingfordct.gov.
Cool. Mayor Vincent Cervoni from the town of Wallingford, Connecticut, thanks for some time, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Peter, thank you for having me. It's good to
Thank
see
you, sir. You too.